And as we welcome you back to the Now Morning Show, we're saying it's not just in October that we can have the music of yesteryear. It's not just in October. We have Calypso History Month. But right now we are having a conversation in collaboration with the Art Society of Trinidad and Tobago. And we're very happy to be speaking with Nadira Mahabir, who is a budding self-taught artist from Port of Spain. She embraces art as a personal journey. Her passion for creative expression, it extends to painting, designing, and sewing, and it reflects her genuine love for the artistic process. She joins us now. Morning, ma'am. How are you doing?
Hi, good morning. I'm good, thanks.
Very glad to hear. Now, saying budding means that you're still establishing yourself. So what led you to art, or this articulation, this expression of art?
Well, actually, I've always been fascinated with art since childhood and the whole creative process. So I've actually been sewing, painting, drawing, and so on. But I was only formally introduced to art in Form 2 in high school. And that's where I, fell in love with art. But unfortunately, I didn't pursue it beyond Form 2. And I always felt like a part of me was missing, like you left something behind. So it was only a few years now I decided, well, let me give it a try and see if this is something that I want to do. And since then, I haven't stopped.
And it's a blessing to be able to circle back to yourself, huh?
Yes.
And with that in mind, it seems as though you're doing something right, because you are one of the 14 new faces for Horizons Art Gallery, the 7th edition. How did that come about? How does that make you feel?
So I'm actually, I'm very excited about it. I didn't even, think that I would get through, because, I've been painting. It's just a few years now. I saw it advertising and decided, well, let me give it a try. And I got through, so it was very, very exciting.
And is it more inspiration, or is it that somebody throws an idea or a challenge to you? Because I think it was in February that you would have been taking part in Jealousies and Poetries.
Yes.
A new take on Trini Classic. So where does the spark come from?
Well, I'm inspired mainly by nature. So I find that it instills a sense of calm and balance in my life. So you'd find that a lot of my pieces consist of landscapes, seascapes, flora, fauna, that sort of thing. So I'm really just inspired by what's around me, and Trinidad is filled with such beauty. So I'm never short of inspiration. I'm very
happy that we're going to be talking about some of those pieces in a little bit. But how do you know that you're finished?
So that's the hard part. So they always say, you don't want to overwork a painting. And of course, when you're tired, to stop. But usually when you're up close and you're working, you just get a very narrow picture, but it's always good to step back. And, once you see that full picture and you see what you want to convey, I think that's the point where I know to stop.
And you said formally in Form 2, I believe, for art. But who are some of the people that you look at and say, well, even if you may not have interacted with them, you draw inspiration? I like the way that this person expresses themselves. Who are some of the people you look at?
Well, I mean, Trinidad is full of a lot of local talent. But, the artists that stand out to me are also landscape artists. So persons like Ryan Williams, Joanna Aldred, Kathy Ann Perkins, Tarkby. I really admire their work a lot, mainly because, again, it's landscape, but they also do a lot of more sort of, so they do a lot of landscape, and I like the colors that they use.
All right, and I think without further ado, let's get into colors, because when you talk about colors, we're seeing you using a lot of colors in your work, and we're very happy that you're able to share some, because we know there are others at the exhibition. But one, Double Blossoms, is the first one, which is the piece that is closest to me. So speak about that a little bit, thanks.
Okay, so as I said, it's titled Double Blossoms because it features 2 poetries in full bloom. And that one was actually inspired by being stuck in traffic one day on Ryson Road. So as you can imagine, you're stuck in traffic surrounded by all these cars, buildings, noise. And then suddenly I look up and I see these 2 magnificent beauties just there amidst all the bustling. So this is what I tried to capture, the softness of nature against an urban background. But for me, it holds a slightly deeper meaning. It's a bit of a reminder that even on a busy day, on a stressful day, it's always important to stop and take the time to appreciate the beauty that's around you.
I guess that also speaks to the role of the artist in terms of looking at life as it occurs and being able to pull the beauty out of situations.
Exactly, exactly.
And is it that you remembered the look or the feel of the trees, or you said, okay, well, I want to go back and check that muse out again?
So I tend to try to quickly snap photos. So you'd always find me pulling aside, just to stop and take a photo, because I don't want to lose the memory, and that would inspire me to paint that same day.
All right, and we just spoke about looking at what some people can describe as mundane and pulling beauty out of it. And with that, I want you to speak to colors of contentment. Thank you.
Right. So that piece features a very colorful rusted galvanized fence next to a very simple wooden house. And that one was inspired actually by a trip to San Fernando. So, as you're passing along the Solomon Hochoy Highway, you're surrounded by all this vast expanse of land, a lot of hills and grass and greenery. So I found it was quite interesting to see this sudden splash of color, and that is what inspired this painting. Thought it was very unique and would be a very, different subject.
And some people say that the first mirror was water, and it seems as though you got some inspiration when you went Manzan.
Right. So I didn't actually go there. That was inspired by a photo that was taken by a relative. And what had stood out to me in that photo was exactly the way that the sky reflected on the water. But what was particularly interesting was the pattern of the ripples on the water itself. So that's what I tried to emulate in this painting.
And last but not least, Harbor of Gold.
Yes. So that one was inspired by a very striking sunset that I saw in Chaguaramas. And I tried, and what had stood out to me was the way that the sunlight dispersed and lit up the water with this beautiful golden color. As you can see in this painting, it's a little bit different than the others in terms of that it's a much more looser style. So I tried to go for a more impressionistic vibe here, so that I'd really be able to give the idea of that bursting light scattering across the surface.
And do you try for, and looking at that different style, and you talk about looser impressionist, do you try for feeling, or do you try to just replicate accuracy?
Well, initially when I started painting, it was more replicating because, you're trying to get the basics down. But now I really try for feeling. So it's always a feeling that's evoked that I try to emulate or to put out on canvas.
And before we go, where do people find more of your work, follow your progress, look at the styles that you're trying and moving for the evolution?
Well, as you said earlier, some of my work is on display at Horizons Art Gallery at their New Faces exhibition. I have 1 or 2 pieces at Studio Julie. But I'm working on an Instagram page right now that would feature my artwork for those of who's interested in viewing. It should be out soon.
All right, so we want to thank you very much, Nadira Mahabir. And letting you know, as we said before, Horizons Art Gallery, 7th edition of New Faces. It's on till June 29th, I believe.
Yes.
All right, and she invites you to appreciate the beauty of nature through her brushstrokes. So we thank you so much.